Welcome to the Tennis Warehouse racket review of the Head 2025 Radical Pro. Much like previous versions of the Radical Pro, this bright neon racket promises stability and controllable power from all areas of the court. With the addition of Auxetic 2, this helps optimize feel and response while the graphene strengthens the frame in key locations for a powerful, stable hitting experience. An ideal option for experienced players who appreciate a 98 square inch frame, 16 by 19 string pattern, and strung weight of just under 12 ounces. At one point, a couple years back, I was considering switching to the Radical Pro as my racket of choice, so I'm always excited for the new update. Unfortunately for me, this racket and I just did not seem to get along. The specs on paper were exactly what I like. Everything fell right into the wheelhouse. I know this racket is usually very stable, has good plow through. It does have that, but I was really struggling to find depth on my ground strokes. That's something I expect right off the bat from the very first hit, but I really had to work so hard to get the ball past the service line, which I'm not used to having to work so hard with this racket. I really struggled with the timing on my backhand. For whatever reason, the racket wasn't coming through the way I would like it to. However, on backhand slices, I did note it cut through the ball really well, and that's where I could find some good energy with this racket. I also did like it a lot on my serves. I could be very predictable. I was not hitting my fastest serves, but I still found they were very effective, and second serves I found great access to spin and also kick. I've been trying to work on placement, and the placement was dialed in for this. Unfortunately, as the playtest went on, I was struggling a little bit with the sweet spot. It felt very small for me, and I felt like I wasn't hitting enough in the sweet spot, which led me to try a few different string setups, and I couldn't find one that really aligned with how I am looking to play and feel on the court. It just felt a little tinny and brassy when I was mishitting and not finding that sweet spot. So while I love the cosmetics of this racket, I think this is gonna be a good option for someone looking for a stable, crisp, feeling, controllable, powerful racket.
This racket has a lot of plow-through if you're able to bring it around quick enough. I found a little bit of difficulty maneuvering the racket, especially on my one-hander. I found that I was lagging a bit behind, but nothing a little bit of early prep or a shorter swing take back did not help fix it. You do get a lot of feedback, especially at the net. I found that I could really tell when I'm hitting a bit off of center or I'm really hitting the sweet spot. So really good feedback, but nothing uncomfortable. I think I'd credit that to the Auxetic update they have. On serves, it's an absolute beast. I wasn't hitting the biggest flat serves, but the kickers were absolutely amazing. I was able to hit a lot of kick serves, and I even got a few aces off of it. I've been playing with a lot of spin-oriented rackets as of the past few weeks, and I feel like I'm the most comfortable with a Radical Pro. I feel like I can hit it consistently from both sides of the court. So if you're looking for something a bit more stable, you still have a lot of plow-through, definitely check out the new Head Radical Pro 2025.
Coming into this new Radical Pro, I was excited to get out there with this. I've tried many generations of the Radicals, going way back to like liquid metal, flex point, microgel. I was even a microgel user back in the day with the 1820 pattern. With this update, the things that really stood out to me was the control, predictability, and I also felt it was really stable. As far as the performance of this racket, I felt like I could control the ball. It was very trusty to me, so everything about this racket was reliable. In terms of power level, I wouldn't say I got much of a boost, so there was nothing that really wowed me about this racket, but the fact that I could just hit the ball, place it where I want, I think the Radical Pro does a really good job for that. In terms of spin, the string spacing, I got a good amount of spin. I wouldn't say it's like an Extreme Pro, and it's not as openly spaced as the Gravity Tour, but very predictable, control-oriented in terms of that aspect. Really liked it up at the net. It felt predictable, precise. Kind of gave me that feel of like a Pro Staff 97 when I'm up at the net. And then on serve, I liked the mass of this racket, the swing weight. There was a good amount of swing weight, so on that flat serve, you could plow through the ball. And then on spin serves, it felt very predictable. I was hitting my spots really well. So all in all, I really liked this update. If I had to knock it, I would say potentially the sweet spot felt maybe a little bit small at times. So what I would do is probably drop the tension a bit with my poly, maybe like in the mid 40 range, and maybe mess around with a little bit of customization to help open up that sweet spot. But I really liked this update and just felt very trusty out there on the court.
My favorite shot with this new Radical was the serve. Found good pace on that stroke. Really liked the way the ball went through the court. Felt like it was a penetrating serve I was hitting. And that also translated well to overheads, to hit probably my hardest ever overhead with this racket. Really came through, it really felt like I nailed the sweet spot. Got a ton of pace that we measured on our new thinnest tennis system here, and was really happy with the performance there. At net, felt pretty connected to my volleys. It's got a firmer feel than I expected coming into the playtest, but the ball went where I expected to do on the volleys. From the baseline, I found the spin was decent, not exceptional, but better on my slice, I would say, than on my topspin strokes. My backhand slice was probably my favorite ground stroke to hit. Got some nice penetration again out of the racket. There's enough mass to go through the ball to help drive the slice. It worked well there. My topspin shots were working well, just wasn't getting quite the loop I would expect out of a Radical racket. So more of like a flatter trajectory of my forehand topspin than expected. And again, I could feel that firmer response, and especially I noticed that if I caught the ball near the tip of the racket, found power to drop off a little bit up there, and just not getting enough on the ball that I wanted out of the racket when I drifted a little high in the string bed. But if I kept it down near the center of the racket, got a much better response, good pace, decent spin, like I said, and a pretty fun play test for me.
Throughout this playtest, we tried a bunch of different string setups, but today you're seeing us hit it with Head Lynx Tour at 52 pounds in Champagne. And to learn more about this racket and many others, please visit us at Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, or Tennis Only.